Hello everybody and welcome back to the next video in our web development course. We're still going through the basics and the foundations of web development, and that means that right now we're in HTML. So you can see I have an empty directory here. I've got index.html, and in this empty file, if I type exclamation mark and hit enter, this gives me once again our boilerplate code. So in this video, we're going to look at all of the basic HTML tags. So I'm just going to name this title Basic Tags. And last time, if you'll recall, we talked about heading, or H1 for our header. So we can say this is my heading 1. And now if I go ahead and save that file, you can see my heading 1 pops up on my web page over here. And by the way, I'm running live server. If you're not, you can right click on index.html and do open with live server. But after heading 1, we also have H2, we have H3, we have H4, and finally H5. Actually H6, I believe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, H5, and finally we have H6. So these are all the different headings. If I save that, you can see I only now have heading 1 because that's the only one that I put one in. So if I click in between these tabs and then hold Alt and click all the way down in between these tabs, I can actually type on multiple lines at one time. So I can say heading, and now here, let's go ahead and say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I save that now, you can see the top one is the biggest and the most prominent. And as I go down from 1 all the way to 6, they get smaller and less prominent. So the top one is usually used for like your main header, and then these are all going to be subheaders under that. Now, on top of that, we have something called a P tag. So if I type P, and then using this Emmet abbreviation, if I hit enter, well, now it gives me a P tag, and P stands for paragraph. So if I want to put like a paragraph of text in here, I can do that. And right now I don't have a paragraph of text to put in there because I haven't written any content. So if I want to just put dummy content or mock data in there, if I just type lorem and then hit enter, it's going to automatically give me this big, long, essentially dummy data, lorem ipsum dolor sit emet. I don't know what language that is. I don't care what language that is. But if we're just using it for demo purposes, we can use that. So now if I come up to view and click word wrap, you can see this is everything that it gave us. So if I save that file, there it is on my web page. Well, let's say I don't want it quite that long. So if I do P and I say lorem, maybe I only want like one sentence, like 8 to 10 words. I can say lorem 8, hit enter, and now it gives me 8 words, 8 random words that we can use just for demo purposes. Then after the P, you also have a B, which is going to be our bold tag. You have I, which is going to be our italic tag. And then you have U, which is going to be our underline tag. Now, these top two, bold and italic, right now we can do this in HTML, and it's okay because we're learning HTML, so you want to know that those are there. But really, once we get into CSS, we're going to want to do our styling for bold and italics, mainly with, not always, but usually with CSS. So now if I save my file, you can see I get bold, italic, and then underline. And one thing you'll notice immediately is that if I do the P tag or the H tag, it puts everything on a new line each time. Whereas if I do my B, my I, or my U tag, or even if I just type text after this, sample text, and then save, you can see this is all showing up on the same line. So if I want to add a line break and go to a new line, I can just use my BR tag. So let's go ahead and put that at the end of every line here. And now you can see it gives me a line break, which gives me a new line on every single one of them. Another thing that I can do is I can actually use these tags within another tag. So let's say I wanted to add some bold text inside of here. Well, I can do that. I can make all of this bold and then Whoops, what did I do? So if I just paste that closing bold tag at the end, and then let's say maybe I want this to be italics. So we can add a closing italics there. And then if I want to add maybe an underline inside of here, I can do that as well. So let's add an underline, cut that out, and then paste that there. And now you can see if I save that, I've got my bold tag there, I've got my italics there, and then I've got my underlined text there. So we can put tags inside of tags, which can be pretty helpful. Also down here, if I wanted to, let's say I want to just generate a couple different paragraphs. If I type, I could just do P, enter, and then go to the next line, P, enter, and then go to the next line, P, enter, and add text into all of those. But there's a faster, more efficient way to do that. If I just type P asterisk 3, P asterisk 3, or 4 or 5 or whatever number I put there, it's going to give me that many paragraph tags. So now if I have all of those, if I just click in, if I just hold Alt again and click inside of each one of those, and let's say I just want 10 words for just for showing what it's going to look like, I can say lorem 10, and there you go. It's going to populate all of those with that same exact thing. Now let's say I've just created 4 lines and I realize, oh, I want 5 lines. Well, if I hit Shift, if I click on one of the lines and then hit Shift Alt down, it's going to copy whatever line I have my cursor on right now. So I can make as many lines as I want doing that as well. These are just some keyboard shortcuts that are helpful for you that will save you just a little bit of time, and saving 10 seconds 10,000 times eventually adds up and saves you a lot of time. So it's really helpful to learn all of these keyboard shortcuts as we go. Next, we're going to have our superscript and our subscript tags. So if you remember back to chemistry class, you have the chemical composition of all of these various elements that we work with. So I could say the chemical composition of water is, and it's H2O. But if I save that, that's actually not quite right because it does say H2O, but if you remember from chemistry class, the H needs to be big and then the 2 needs to be small and it needs to be down a little bit below the H. So to do that, that's something called a subscript. So I could say sub, and then if I just move that 2 inside of my subscript brackets and save that file, now we have H. Let me just zoom in here a little bit so you can see more. You have H with a little 2 and then a big O again. So that's what we want. And then the same thing with the superscript. So if I say E equals MC squared, which if you don't remember that, that's going to be Einstein's mass energy equivalence equation. And that's E equals MC squared. But same thing here. If I save that, you can see I have E equals MC2, but I don't want MC2. I want MC, really what I want is MC raised to the second power. And the way that you do that is instead of saying, I mean, you could do it just like that, and it's going to look bad, but people will know what that means because that's how you type it on a calculator. But really, what you're going to want to do here is put a superscript. And then inside of that superscript, we're going to put R2 and save that. And now you can see that that actually says E equals MC squared with the small 2 raised above it. So that's how you do super and subscripts. And then finally, we can say we have a big tag and we have a small tag. So I can say big, and then inside of here, I can say this class is going to be great. Save that, and you can see down here, I get this class is going to be great, and it's just a little bit bigger than the text above it. Same thing down here, you have a small tag. And inside of the small tag, I can say, at least, I hope so. If I save that, well, Now you can see this class is going to be great. At least I hope so. And you can see that at least I hope so is actually a little bit smaller than the normal text up here. And again, we've got our, this is all on one line because we haven't put a line break there. So if I put BR, it goes on to, if I put BR for a line break, it goes on to 2 lines. But I will note, I'm just showing you this just so that you can know that this big, small, and then BR tag exists in HTML. And you might run into that if you're looking over old code. But in general, we're not going to use the big tag, and we're not going to use the small tag. And even we're not going to use the BR tag really that often, because as soon as we get into CSS, the cascading style sheets, we're going to use CSS to style everything. So we're going to control the font sizes from there. So we won't need big and small, and we won't even need line breaks directly in our HTML because we can control where everything goes within our CSS page. So I hope this has been a helpful introduction. We went over a whole bunch of different of the basic text tags in HTML, and definitely review these, practice with these, and then come back for the next video. We're going to have a whole bunch more tags to review.